won't come out tomorrow. The earth will be an ashtray by tomorrow. Tomorrow, the shores glow, a raging inferno, because today is Doomsday! Thank you, little orphan Annie. Now get thee away, you flame-headed devil child, lest your hard-knock life grow even hard-knockier with a shotgun wound to the coccyx. A warm welcome, Crusaders, to the stinking hellbeast-infested guts of the IO military base. We're here making one hell of a racket in MAP12 TNT Evilution Crater, which, despite its nominal promises of at least one crater, that likes to play fucking lawyer ball with you and set the stage mostly inside an installation that is built into the side of a crater. You can't really gain any satisfactory sense of geography to appreciate here, but it's quite a pretty level to play through all the same. We've dealt with maybe its nastiest trick already, as we flew up that long secret passageway into the sewer area. There's an arachnotron hiding behind a transparent false wall that will do to your health what legendary Viking Volstagg the Orca Rapist did to killer whale rectums back in his time. But aside from that chicanery, there's only really one or two rooms that urge any degree of caution here in Crater. The monsters are quite thinly spread for the most part, and especially compared to the last 2 or 3 maps, somewhat disinterested in taking you down in large flash mobs. And oh shit, here's a Dedibus! And those mines did about as much damage as a fart in a gale or two, so there you go. Once again, Project Brutality turns a pretty routine room into a fight to the fucking death. How I love its catalogue of ghastly surprises. Let's move straight into the most dangerous area of the whole map here. Again, you can see how deadly accurate these former Marines are at any kind of range now, so no more sitting back and plinking away at them with the chain gun on this difficult sunshine. Speaking of the chain gun, here's an upgrade with a stiff dick and an indifference to consent. The UAC Heavy Machine Gun Auto Cannon. Let's test it out on the winner of this battle royale, shall we? Oh, you play properly, insect. No extra points for shooting the referee. This isn't Russian league football. Oh, bloody hell. That's it. Your real quarrel is with each other, don't you see? There can only be one fattest man in hell. Fight for the honor. Fight for... Oh god, they're too fat to kill each other. I'll do it my fucking self. Alright, you tubs of shit. Now nobody wins. Now I am the fattest man in the room, so it's a damn good thing Doom doesn't have a self-esteem meter as well, isn't it? Let's give this saucy little minx some love, shall we? UAC Compact Submachine Gun. The Tingo Scrats! Pap, 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 pap. You don't know, imp waste man. Don't worry if you didn't understand any of that, lovers. It's borough speak. If you're overseas, the boroughs are kind of the same as the ghettos, except in England ours are usually about 10 minutes away from a forest of some description where you can hire rowboats and wind up the swans into chasing you by making confrontational gestures at their nests. Go for a nice ice cream, boathouse afterwards. Shut up! It's gangster as fuck! I'll outrow any man that says otherwise. Skeleton pussy hole. Well, I've already seen a couple of new enemy variants here in this stage, and I don't want to fall behind on profiling them because they'll start appearing at an alarming rate from around now, so let's start with a big old council flat bathroom green Dedibus, a nasty mancubus variant who sprays highly damaging acid at you instead of fire. And the real thorn in the balls with the Dedibus is that his acid blast will keep damaging you after they hit you, so you want to kill him quick, but if you try and close one of the tubby toxic bastards down, it'll almost... I guess it's using its acid cannons when it does this, you know. It almost looks like it scrunches up its face and pisses itself to spite you like an angry toddler, free of society's latest shame. However it pulls it off, it floods the immediate area with a giant burning puddle that acts as a damaging floor type, so you don't want to get too close in confined spaces. I only did it back when I first encountered it in the blue key room because I'm a stupid optimistic idiot that thought there'd be a bog standard easy to stun mancubus hiding behind that wall. Now that's Project Brutality's progressive spawning system in horrifying action for you. Signed delivery for you. If I could just get a signature, that'll do fine. You have a great day, sir. Right at the beginning of the stage, we saw a new former Sergeant variant too. There's honestly so many bloody former Marine, Sergeant and Commando variants in Project Brutality that I'm not going to point every single one out to you unless they're particularly noteworthy, but this chap in his nifty red goggle tactical gear wields the auto shotgun, one of which we cheekily snagged for our own arsenal before we left. Which is another kick in the steadily mounting headache that you really don't need, as the fucking thing can fire 12 rounds in under 5 seconds, only half of which it really needs to kill you. We'll have a closer examination of those beautiful shotguns in just a short while, but for now, let's talk... Oh, hello there. Well, I almost wish I could have introduced you to that poor bastard on more impressive terms. That was our first Arachna fight. A normally super fearsome Arachnotron variant, distinguishable from its brethren by its stone grey colouring, blood red eyes, and the fact that its fucking legs have been replaced by 4 jet thrusters and a modified flight frame which it uses to soar around the map, tune you into crew cut wearing dog shit with a heavy minigun. But as you saw there, that progressive variant spawning system very rarely throws you a bone and cock slaps itself. In that instance, by replacing a standard Arachnotron with flying Arachna fight that was too big to fit into the room properly. He got his head stuck in the ceiling, making him about as useful as Voldemort's hanky. Oh, that never happens. I'm savouring it. Delicious. Speaking of which, we're just about finished our first course here. This final room, boasting 2 Arachnotron sentries, has most of the danger stripped out of it by way of its multiple cover providing pillars, providing a comfortable run out the exit and into map 13, Nukage Processing. Draw! Not a chance, son. This is a decidedly less charitable level than... Oh goodness, hand cannon. I most certainly will. Revolvers have got to be my favourite gaming guns after the shotgun, no question. Let's just... Ooh, my tingly bits. Engorged! It's happening again, Doctor! You, fight me. Move. Big bastard outdoors carnage picnic to get started here. We'll just wake all these lazy bones up and get a nice infight going before we begin our work. Risky due to the armed presence up on the canyon walls, but don't want to get cornered going for the yellow key in a minute. I'm sorry, the lift's full. Take the stairs, fuckface. Now, outside of Project Brutality, I'd spend a moment or two thinning this lot out from below with the chain gun before I came up here, but with the auto aim removed and my accuracy nowhere near the Doc Holliday-esque levels required for such a feat, experience has taught me that they'll do far more damage to you while you piddle around down there than if you just jet straight up onto the walkway and work out your disagreements man to man. Home invasion! Give me your wife! And the yellow key is also of the utmost importance to me. Blocked his own rocket with his ass there, did you see? Disgusting. We'll start mopping up now, we have what we came for. You might have caught a few glimpses there of a Revenant variant that you'd have to be fairly close to identify from the character model alone, but you'll know you're dealing with one the second it claps eye sockets on you. It's a beam Revenant, a skeletal shitbag with the same behaviour as its normal missile-firing bros, except it shoots a highly accurate light-speed laser beam straight at your head. One laser shot alone isn't anything to worry about, but they are arguably a lot more dangerous the longer you put off killing them, as their weapons are much harder to avoid than the rockets. The missile Revenants do have jetpacks though. Might have forgotten to mention that, maybe due to repressing the horrific memory of it. Right, we want to get the most out of this invincibility power up here, and I will show you why. Whoa, Christ on the cross, you took long enough to put in an appearance, didn't you, sport? It's your old pal, the cyberdemon, making his debut. Yes, there is a variant. No, it hasn't been altered to like you anymore. Oh god, it's wearing off. We need to leave. immediately. Unfortunately, he can't follow you outside to play, but we can still wave to him through the windows. Cyberdemon, which is both his rapper name and his Club Penguin logo, has naturally had a few tweaks made to him to make him even more of a fucking nightmare than you remember. Most notably one that gives him a brand new melee attack where he can insta-kill you with a stomp from his metal leg. I mean, not that you were so out of your goddamn mind that you would have thought about getting that close to him in the first place anyway, but... Oh yeah, I chainsawed him to death in my original Doom run, didn't I? Good times. The Cyberdemon now also fires his rockets faster in salvos of 4 rather than 3. Now in earlier builds of Brutality, he had the ability to launch grenades at you too, but that got the chop along with a nasty surprise that ran with his death animation, in which he'd deal massive, lethal damage to anyone caught in the explosion. The Spider Mastermind had the exact same deal, and that wound up getting stripped out because there are maps that were practically unwinnable because of it. Now if you can remember all the way back to episode 4 of the Ultimate Doom and the second stage, Perfect Hatred, you'll also most likely recall that the only reliable way to kill the Cyberdemon at the bitter end of that one, with the scant ammo you're clutching at the finish line, is to telefrag him. Oh hi Mark, how's your sex life? Which places you smack bang at ground zero of his beefy death pop. That'll put you to sleep, teddy bear, blankets and all. Fuck me, I'm making a right mess of this, aren't I? We found the Nukage and Nukage processing, yay! This map's not gonna prick tease you like crater. Although I wish it would, this room is a goddamn nightmare. Alright, no, we're fine. There's a berserk pack through. Mark, you betraying me! There's a berserk pack through the door here that'll fix us up nice. And a flamethrower wielding dickhead to fuck it up for us, so that's nice too. Alright, let's throw these monkeys a banana with a high explosive grenade launcher. Very comely bit of kit that runs off a separate ammo stack to the rocket launcher. You can roll with these standard impact grenades, or use secondary fire to launch out a bouncing variant, as well as toggling whether or not you'd like your payload to have fragmentation qualities, which makes quite the fucking mess in enclosed spaces. Here's another of my favourite new toys, the M2 plasma rifle, which you saw me polish off the Cyberdemon with. As you see by the insides of that tragic fucker, is amazing for quickly dispatching spawny little pests like the pain elemental and his brood. The secondary fire on it is actually a plasma flamethrower too, which is utterly impractical and devours your ammo like some hardcore heavy metal band mascot that eats guns and shit, but I love that they tried nevertheless. Now, one thing I wanted to finish off telling you about Cyberdemon before I nearly got my ass completely handed to me in a toxic waste pit. And this applies to the former Marine and the Mancubus also. You might have noticed in my slightly more juvenile moments during this playthrough so far that I occasionally make use of a Brutal Doom feature called Offend. It works by flipping the monsters off and saying rude words to them. It's not big, it's not clever. I apologise for absolutely none of it, but it does do more than just make me cackle to myself like a child. Yes, you did just see a cyborg Hell Knight with a half-body shield, do not be alarmed. I will explain this abomination shortly. The Offend feature, strangely, only actually offends 3 types of monster. The former Marine, the Mancubus, and the Cyberdemon. Why that is, I could not tell you. I'm going to make an educated guess and say it's because they're the only monsters in the game that fire projectiles and do so in salvos, rather than them being the ones with far less of a sense of humour or tolerance for your bullshit than the others. Because once a monster is offended, it responds by becoming far more aggressive and increasing both its shooting speed and rate. For example, a former Marine will go from their standard behaviour pattern of kind of lazily wandering towards you, stopping for a pot shot and then edging a bit closer to maybe hit you this time. Former Marine doesn't really care that much, you know. This gig is just a means to an end for former Marine. The bastard died with large sections of his brain. They go from that to absolute fucking outrage where they will literally never stop firing at you. Don't worry, I'll run that by you in a second too. Never stop firing at you, even if you duck behind a wall or into cover. So defiled do they feel by the sight of you flipping them the bird. I mean, they've been to hell, sure. They've seen some shit. They thought they'd seen the worst of what creation was capable of, but you, sir, who in God's name do you think you are? You've just arrived in MAP12, still works right here. It's actually a shockingly easy level in its original form that can be an absolute fucking nightmare in Brutality, which you can attribute once again to them their goddamned hit scanners and their clowning. Every area you clean out in this fucking hellhole just keeps restocking its enemy inventory by teleporting more in when your back's turned or you're in another room. It's a great way to develop yourself a paranoia complex trudging through steelworks for the first time. So hey, flipping off a UAC zombie is one thing. You want to use a fend on a cyberdemon, you want to go ahead, jam firecracker up that tiger's arsehole. And let me just go ahead, shake your hand right there, sir. Wish you well in your next life, because you are about to fucking die. You understand me? There's bad life decisions, and then there's what you're planning on doing, my dude. Cyberdemon has 3 stages of offendedness. And that's great, isn't it? You take one look at a hulking, preternaturally violent hellcow motherfucker like the Cyberdemon, and you'd figure that the only mood nature gave him would be blind fucking rage, but no. Cyber D is a complex creature with emotional layers and shit. You can almost see Jane Goodall rappelling into hell to try and teach a colony of the terrifying bastard sign language that, you know, after a long day blowing up UAC Marines and scientists into pet food, sometimes they just sit in the car and cry about it. Everybody hurts. I got the head on the steering wheel. Moo, boo, hoo, 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 hoo. Everybody cries. I blame the steroids. But they're perfectly good people right up until they get pumped full of testopel, have their fucking arm and hoof hacked off and get the entire front of their stomach pulled off. Like, what the fuck? Why? You already sawed my leg off and replaced it with a heavier metal leg that does nothing except slow me the fuck down and freak out if I step in a puddle. You leave my entire gastric infrastructure alone at least? What's the matter with you? So yeah, the more times you flip off the Cyberdemon, the more rockets he fires at you, and the faster he fires them until he is just a broken, screaming nuclear battle station, launching city-leveling payloads of explosive death like somebody dropped their coffee on the control panel of a flying attack fortress. And now anyone living in a 2-country radius is fucked, so don't expect to see me doing that anytime soon. My brain's wired up all wrong, I ain't gonna deny that, but the minute you see me throwing middle finger bombs at a Cyberdemon, you'll know something's gone seriously wrong in my life. You should probably notify some kind of armed response team. Never mind, he used to be able to fire those grenades at you as well, so... In fact, I'll tell you one of the more interesting features cut from earlier builds of Brutal Doom that I understand this developer is trying to reinstate right now, is that you used to be able to mutilate the corpses of anything you killed, which actually served a practical purpose, in that it prevented the arch-vials from resurrecting them, and it got removed because of the bugs it was triggering, which is interesting because there was a very similar scenario that occurred in Doom 2, whenever an arch-vial accidentally managed to resurrect a monster that had been jibbed by being crushed under a descending ceiling or a closing door into a squidgy little blood pool. It'd create what was nicknamed a ghost monster, which looked and acted just like a normal enemy that had been brought back to life, except it retained some of the advantages of being a squidgy little blood pool. And what possible advantages could come from being a fucking puddle? I hear you cry. Speak sense, man. Well, how about being practically fucking invincible and the ability to walk through walls? How about do you, champ? You could literally only hurt these damn things with splash damage and obtuse shit like telefragging or getting them to infight with another monster, or if you were insanely accurate, there was a tiny pixel-thin area right at the base of its sprite axes that you could hit with a rocket, the plasma blast, or the projectile shot of the BFG, but that was ludicrously difficult to pull off, and of course, this opens up a whole world of shit, including but not limited to things like pain elementals being able to be resurrected where they never normally could be, because of course they explode when they die, so they never usually leave a corpse. Maybe the worst thing to come from that bug was that the exceptionally clever and sadistic enthusiasts that made up the online Doom map design community found a way to intentionally use it in their own stages, maybe culminating most brutally in the sequel to the Plutonia experiment, Plutonia 2, and the secret level Go For It, which features a fountain of fucking ghost Nazis. Hell Revealed had another great one called Afterlife, which was I mean, it was just like the rest of Hell Revealed. A fantastic, glorious piece of work that struck that rare balance between the joy of playing it and the consistent feeling of just wanting to fucking kill yourself. So. Oh hey! Some shit went down at the end of the last map that I was going to talk you through, didn't it? I remembered. Well, I forgot. And then I remembered just now, so technically, I remembered. Technicalities! That's how I win at life. That's how I make my goddamn money. So yeah, possibly the most alarming thing that happened in the past 10 minutes is that I temporarily turned into a screaming fucking skeleton. That was a thing that took place. Project Brutality drops you a whole range of new runes and spheres whenever you waste a monster to expand upon Brutal Doom's demonic essence and demonic strength rune, which we've already covered. Nets you 10 health and a berserk status for the rest of the level. But you've also got the double damage sphere, which does exactly what it says it's going to do for 30 seconds. You've got the rage sphere, which doubles the speed of all weapon animations from reloading to firing and beyond, again for half a minute. But then, much rarer are both the time sphere, which freezes all the monsters in place for 10 seconds, and the Revenant morph rune, which I have absolutely no doubt that you're going to properly see in action before we're through with both this and the Plutonia experiment playthrough. Turning you into a fully combat ready Revenant, complete with rockets, crazy strong skeleton punches, and a working fucking jetpack. You get your health skyrocketed up to 300 HP, you get an initially cool but eventually kind of irritating deep red screen filter that crackles and hums with electrical interference and stuttering on the live feed because of course hell has god-awful Wi-Fi. You get the works, ladies and gentlemen. You win the full Revenant experience and it's yours for a whole 60 seconds. It's actually not really all that great a prize because you can still die very easily as a Revenant. You have an annoying window where you're vulnerable, you can't defend yourself when you turn back into Doom Guy. You don't get to keep the 300 HP when it's all said and done. You just go back to whatever you had before the transformation. But you can use that to your advantage by going on a crazy suicide mission just before the timer expires, pounding anything that moves with infinite Revenant rockets. Alright, let's get the fuck out of here. What do you say? Let's get the fuck out of here. We've got a hell of a map to wrap up our Doomsday hijinks for this week. We're plunging balls swinging into MAP12, Dead Zone, which is also going to serve as our exit out into the 2 secret stages of TNT Evilution, both of which are pretty superb. Dead Zone is essentially one giant central place surrounded by a dirt moat of demons. And there's a number of solid ways to tackle it, but I'm always far more comfortable clearing out everything on the outside before I wipe my feet on the doormat. It can be a somewhat delicate operation with the amount of fire you'll take from the windows and perimeter ledges simultaneously, but you get some excellent opportunities to make your exploration of the base itself a touch more forgiving through merit of skull fucking the entire building with rockets and grenades before you go inside. Now also worth noting is that it's impossible to legitimately get 100% kills in Dead Zone, thanks to a couple of cacodemons lurking behind the outer walls that I think were tagged as death with no way to actually trigger them. So, you know, they're just chilling in their safe space beyond time and creation with their hearing problems, escaping slaughter on account of their disabilities. I like to think they eventually get bored, you know, because they're deaf and neither one of them has any arms to do sign language with, so they just sit there winking at each other until the sexual tension becomes unbearable and they remember they don't have any genitals either. They're just spawned out of a hole in the icon of Sin's face, which might contribute an element to one of the most disappointing anticlimactic boss fights ever, but you know, also very neatly cuts off a potentially mortifying subgenre of pregnant hell baron porn on fucking deviant art, so it's got that going for it. I like to think they eventually got bored and came out to see what was taking Doom guys so goddamn long, and they both see this fucking mess. Shit. You're fucking kidding me. When did this happen? We can never go back. We'll let the side down here. Motherfucker. I might have been able to smell the entire base going up in flames if anybody had given me a goddamn nose. Got a new BFG coming up right here in a second. And it'd be cruel on us all not to immediately use it, so yeah, you'll do just fine. Right, goodbye. The BFG 9000 Mark IV, boys and girls. Loses points for looking a bit like the incarnation in that god-awful Doom movie. Drops a couple more for recycling the firing sound effect from Doom 3, but it now comes with 3 separate fire modes. The classic BFG blast, a guard mode, and a contact beam. Now, the classic blast works a little differently to what your traditional Doom player is used to here. It still fires the energy ball the same way, but because hit scanning has been wiped out of Brutal Doom, the BFG's usual bonus tracer attack has been replaced with the plasma blast itself dealing massive splash damage, which means you can't quite get away with insta-killing entire rooms of monsters with trick shots the way you used to. The contact beams work a lot like the single-shot M2 plasma rifle with chargeable light and strong variants available, consuming varying amounts of ammo, but the real interesting addition here is the guard mode, which can generate either a portable energy shield that sticks around as long as you keep the BFG equipped, or a stationary one that you can lay down and freely switch your weapons over from behind. Big game changer there. It buys you some breathing space from the greatly increased ferocity of your enemies here in Final Doom. We also encountered a couple of disturbing Hell Baron and Hell Knight variants at the finale of the Nukage Facility there. Maybe the most imposing of which was the Cyber Paladin, which, oh Christ, Inferno Cacodemon right there. Which you might have noticed I was very eager to draw into a spot of demonic infighting to keep him busy, and with good reason. The Cyber Paladin not only comes packing a fucking grenade launcher and a flamethrower, flames for up close, boom potatoes for if you get any funny ideas about running away, but he also has a shield that can deflect, as far as I can tell anyway, basically anything you care to fire at him. So, one-on-one, he is an almost transcendentally agonizing pain in the dick, but like a great deal of the big heavy weapons bruisers doing the rounds in Project Brutality, get him in a medium to large sized crowd, and the blast radius of his arsenal will mean that he only gets to take a couple of shots at your tops before he accidentally tags a gang of his squad mates and they all turn on him simultaneously. Oh, you're stuck, sorry pal. Some of these Marines get too fat to come out of the stash holes, you see. Got to do them a kindness and send them to the great barracks in the sky. The Cyber Barons aren't usually half the arsehole that the Cyber Paladins are. I'm actually low-key kind of shocked that they bothered to use his rocket launcher at all there, actually. They usually just spray their short-range flamethrowers about like hulking pink simpletons even when you're standing 30 feet away from them, but we saw ourselves an Inferno Cacodemon for the first time back there as well. Now they can both breathe fire and spit it at you, as well as summoning gangs of aggravating little bastards called Watchers that swarm around you and block your shots. But thankfully we caught it in an enclosed corridor there, because they're usually not too shabby at dodging your shots on their own either. One last sweep up here, and we'll be about done for this week on Doomsday. Moving back hopefully to a permanently weekly slot. Got a little bit more time on the channel now, doctor's orders. I hate running this shit like 5 maps at a time, with 2 or 3 weeks in between. Feel like it's going to take the rest of my fucking life to finish whatever I'm playing. So. Hidden exit! Bing bang boom! And we're starting out with secret maps next time on Doomsday. The intro to the first of which I'm going to leave you with right here. What now? Looks totally different, kind of like King Tut's condo. Well, whatever's here can't be any worse than usual, can it? Or maybe it's best to let sleeping gods lie. It's as weird as it sounds and twice as goddamn good. Check back on the next Doomsday to help me lay down some hurt on map 31, Pharaoh.